everyone and welcome back to the channel. I am Kirsty and this is Stuck in the Mud. Please remember to like the videos and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already because it's free. And the more people that do these things, it actually really helps my channel grow bigger and evolve so I can get out there to more people and hopefully help so many more on their recovery journey from OCD and anxiety. So in today's video, I want to talk a little bit about real event OCD. I've had requests for this and I have touched on it in other videos where I talk about false memory OCD. This is something I have gone through myself personally. I know how scary it can be and confusing because it feels a little different, I think, to other subtypes of OCD. And that is because it usually revolves around something that actually happened, and it can become very confusing, and it can morph into false memory OCD. And I think it's important to discuss this topic and figure out a way that we can actually get through this, because we can have many different subtypes of OCD, but treatment is usually the same. People have OCD in different forms, of course, and to different degrees. You might be suffering from real chronic OCD and just be at your wit's end thinking, what is going to work for me? But there is always an answer and you can get better from this. And I really want to, put that point across in all my videos because I've been to some real deep, dark places with this. And I feel like I've just about had every different subtype of OCD, including real event OCD. And you can get back up from that rock bottom place that you may be feeling stuck in at the moment. And I think that is important to really, get across in these videos and really make people see that there is a way out. This doesn't have to be a life sentence. And there is things you can do to help your situation. So with real event OCD, it can feel different in the fact that it is based on past events in your life, past experiences you may have had. And it can be a recent past event, or it can be something like years and years ago. It can be like 20 years ago. Something can just pop up in your memory and you can become obsessive over it and chronically anxious and doubtful over that situation and feel a lot of guilt over something that might have happened many years ago. It's something I experienced to different degrees. I feel like memories have popped up where I've really felt unsure about what actually happened and my involvement in those situations. I will give an example. I remember thinking back to being a child down my road where I lived, and the children, there's always, that relationship with young children where, someone will feel left out, or it may feel like people are ganging up on a child. And I would bring this memory back up in my head and think, well, what was my involvement in that situation? Because I would hate as an adult now to make someone feel like that, feel like they were left out or they were picked on or made fun of. And I remember trying to remember what actually happened. And this is going back to my childhood days, and I was thinking, well, what's happened to this person now? Are they okay? Have they, has something happened in their life when maybe that has impacted them, and what was my involvement in that? And generally, I'm not a nasty person. I would hate to make anyone feel like they were excluded or picked on. That is just not who I am. But as children, we don't always make the same choices. And, maybe I did get caught up in situations, and I probably did, because that's generally sometimes a thing that children do get involved with. So I would think back and think, well, what's happened to this person? Because one of my obsessions as an older adult would be that if I would blurt out an insult to someone and they would actually kill themselves over it, that was one of my core fears as an adult, thinking, I may have unintentionally, I'd get an intrusive thought about a person and think, did I say that out loud? And it became like false memories. Whereas, I'd question, did I say that out loud? Did that, I've really upset that person. I'd constantly be checking back to make sure that their reaction was a normal one and they weren't upset or hurt when I'd never even said anything. It was just completely irrational. I'd not blurted out anything. I may have had an intrusive thought about someone, but that doesn't define who I am as a person, because I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to cause harm to anyone. But can you see where what happened when I got involved in these past memories? I got hooked into thinking, well, what happened there? Did I do something that goes against my moral code as I am today? Is that, what does that say about me? What were my intentions in that scenario? And it, you're looking for evidence that would, kind of let me off the hook, as in like, well, that's not who I am, and why, why did that happen? And, is there something that can release me of that guilt and shame I feel over that event? We're always trying to figure out everything and ruminate over the smallest details when we don't have a clear memory of that situation. I mean, it was years and years ago. We're probably talking like 30 plus years ago when that particular scenario happened. And then I will think, well, I'm obviously remembering it, so I obviously didn't feel good in that moment, because why would I remember it? And that's just looking for reassurance that I am a good person. We don't want to be that bad person. And you can see how it just gets bigger and bigger, because the more we involve ourselves in these memories, these past events, we just get so caught up in it that we're reinforcing, the more we engage in it, it reinforces the doubt. And, our memories become very clouded, and that's where the false memories can jump in, because everything gets distorted and, it's not actually what happened in that scenario. Everything just gets changed. And the more we look for evidence and analyze, it just becomes a whole muddy mess of things, and we can lose our ability to see clearly. We lose clarity over things, and we have to come to a level of acceptance over things that may have happened years ago. I think that's a really important part of recovery. We can leave those thoughts alone. That is definitely what we need to be doing when we feel ourselves getting involved, because, the more we involve ourselves, the more our brain will take notice that this is important, and it'll just keep pinging back, and we won't be able to stop thinking about it. It'll just feel like we're constantly trying to figure things out and look for evidence and try and come to some kind of certainty about the situation where we can, like I said, we can feel like we're off the hook. We can feel at a level of peace about it. And it doesn't come. That's the problem. When we involve ourselves with these thoughts, we engage with them, it wants our attention. Everything will become distorted, and it won't be factual. It'll just be, like I said, it'll just be completely messy. And we just need to leave them alone and let them be there, and we'll notice that they will fade on their own. But that's only part of the puzzle. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. All different elements will come together. We do have to come to some kind of level of acceptance that this one event that may have happened doesn't define who we are as a person. That event that I was describing doesn't define me as who I am. And it takes a lot of practice, that, it really does. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. But as we build our tolerance to these feelings, because, we often feel a sense of urgency to delve into the past over the events and try and work it out. And we feel that urge to engage. But the more we can build a tolerance to that and step aside, and think, well, no, I don't need to go back there. This happened many years ago. Or it could be like a recent event. But this doesn't define who we are. And I know a lot of people with OCD, and myself included, would go, well, I'm just trying to get get out of jail free card. Something happened and I'm just trying to let myself off the hook. But it's not who we are as people. And we do have to have that acceptance of things that have happened in the past, you know, that isn't the full story. You know, that is not who we are. You know, that doesn't define who we are. And I know that just comes across like, well, you're just trying to get out of some guilt for that. And it's just not the case, because OCD, it really plays against who we are at our core. It goes against our values and our moral code. And it's always looking to make us feel bad about something. And, everybody makes mistakes in life, myself included. No one's perfect. Things we do in the moment might not, it might go against who we normally are or our intentions. Maybe we didn't intend something to come across a certain way. And we have to, like I said, build some acceptance to that and realize that this is just something that happened. We can't change it. And we move forward. It's going to take some time. Like I said, real event OCD does feel a bit different, but the more we involve ourselves, the more muddy it gets, the more it distorts everything. It makes everything less clear. You lose your ability to think clearly. And, I can't let that event years ago define who I am, because it's not who I am. I know that now, and I've accepted that. But then real event OCD will pop up in other scenarios. Like, I've had a fear of loss throughout my life. And, I would come, to be in a scenario in my life where my mum and dad were both, seriously ill, and I always had this fear that, that something, I was trying to protect them all the time from something bad happening to them. And they got ill and I couldn't protect them. That became evident that, my whole life I feared, something bad happening to my mum or dad, and they did get ill. I couldn't save them, but they did get better. So it proves something to me that, those ideas we get in our head that, this is just the worst thing ever and something, this is just the end. It wasn't. I have recently lost my mum, but after 20, odd years of actually being well, and I'm glad that I had that time with her, but at the time I just felt like, well, I've spent my whole life trying to protect her and I couldn't. And then my dad got ill. They both had issues and diseases with cancer, and I couldn't save them. I couldn't protect them from that. And it just goes to show you that all that time and worry I spent over, trying to keep them safe, it didn't actually achieve anything. And, it's a difficult one, like I said, because these are real events that happened. And we have to be kind to ourselves, be so gentle with ourselves. Life's hard. It's got its ups and downs, and we're very lucky to get out of life without experiencing some of these in our lives. And, I really feel like I've learned from a lot of these scenarios that we do have to have that self-compassion, because life isn't easy. We're very sensitive beings as OCD sufferers, I believe. And, life can feel so challenging, and it's debilitating when you go through OCD, because it just takes up so much time. It really does take over your life. And I don't want anyone to be in that position. But like I said, the key things here are just being gentle with yourself, because, we're often just searching for the evidence, like I said, that we're a good person, that we care and doing all these things. But all it really does is, like I said, it just reinforces that doubt, that fuels more uncertainty, when actually we're trying to do the opposite. The more we involve ourselves in these things and try and work everything out, it just has the opposite effect. Research shows that the more we engage, the stronger it gets, the bigger it gets. The more uncertainty we will feel over a situation. So I do believe the foundations here are really to use our skills in metacognitive therapy, detached mindfulness, and build on that with our self-compassion and also self-acceptance of life and life events and things that happen, and that it doesn't define who we are as people. It takes time and it takes patience, and it's not always an easy road to recovery. This isn't something that's happened to me overnight. It's taken a lot of times in my life when, I've been at the bottom and I've really thought, I can't just live my life like this. I don't want my life to be so limited and so, just so small, so it just makes everything smaller. Your whole world becomes smaller because you don't engage fully in life. You don't enjoy life. Everything just becomes in so much control. We're just trying to control everything. And that's what I'm saying. We can't control everything that happens. There's going to be the natural flow of life, which is up and down. And these tools have really helped me get to a place now where I don't engage the same way in intrusive thoughts, when I get past memories coming up, where things happen and, things do affect us. We're not robots, things do affect us. But the more we question and delve into the what ifs and, what does this say about us? It just creates so much more, and it just starts off that OCD cycle where we're going round and round, and we don't get any peace, we don't get any certainty. There just fuels more doubts and shame and guilt and confusion. And there's things we can do about that. I always say it, we can't control our thoughts, but we can do something about the thinking. That's really key here. There's tools we can use to let those thoughts be there. Like I said, it's not the full picture, especially with real event OCD. We do have to come to some acceptance, but take it a step at a time. Exposure and response prevention, when we do a compulsion, when we're trying to, to give ourselves some peace, some reassurance, we have to refrain from that, and just taking it step by step, celebrate those small wins, because, these actions that we feel are trying to help us and give us some peace, they're actually just fueling the OCD more, they're fueling the anxiety. Everything becomes stronger, and it just makes everything harder when we feel like it's going to help us. And short term, it might make us feel slightly better, but in the long term, it just makes everything more difficult, and that's not where we want to be. So I really hope this video has given you a bit more of an understanding about real event OCD. Like I said, it morphs a lot with false memory, because we get a lot of, as creative minds with OCD, we get a lot of false memories that will attach to real events that may have happened. Been there many times myself. I talk a lot about false memory in my videos. You can find a few videos I've done on that subject. And like I said, I did touch on some real event stuff, but I felt like I wanted to do a standalone video for this because it's important. It's, like I said, these different subtypes can feel very different when in fact a lot of the treatment is the same. But with this one, there is a slightly different element in that it does attach itself to real situations that happen. So let me know in the comments if this has helped you to gain a bit more clarity over this, and how you feel about this. How has real event OCD affected you? I hope my stories about the things that happen in my life, do these resonate with you? I'd love to hear about how this has affected you, and hopefully we can move forward and realize that, we can do this. You've got this, we can get better. And I hope my videos are proving that to you. So I will see you in the next video.